This is Overtime with Matty.
And welcome back to our latest episode of our podcast here, Overtime with Matty, as part of our 5:31 PI show, Pacific Grandstand. I'm Willie Poaching. This is Matt Manukor. Welcome, Matty.
Welcome. Why did I repeat myself? Welcome. Good to see you, Willie. Another episode of Overtime with Matty. Man, we've been through a lot, man. It's our 5th episode today. Just you and I again joining the sports chats. But yeah, it's an exciting week. It's been an exciting week. Wearing my Warriors hat and in support of the Warriors, who were absolutely robbed at the weekend against the Bulldogs. But what a game that was. And there's been a lot of sport to consume over the week, so keen to get
I've not seen you too much this week.
Yeah, I just got back
somewhere?
from Australia. Yeah, went back to Australia. I celebrate my mum's 50th birthday. Shout out to you, mum, and all her 6 boys were over in Australia to celebrate on Monday. Just got back yesterday afternoon actually, and had got 8 heaps of food. Got enjoyed some of the weather. I even went to Suncorp, bro. Went to Suncorp, did a little blessing on behalf of the Maroon supporters. Just,
not that we need that.
Not that we need that, but I think I saw some of the balls kicking in Suncorp in the background, bro. So I'm like, the players are probably there. I wonder if they know who I am. Because we talk about them all the time. But just went and did a little blessing over the Suncorp Arena ahead of next week's game, which we'll talk about more later.
Yeah, we've got all that coming up, along with some International Rugby Union.
Yeah.
The All Blacks had their first test. We'll have a preview of the second test coming up this week.
Yeah.
And we'll talk what you're chatting about. Origin next Wednesday.
Yeah, awesome.
Some good discussion points about the teams and the makeup of the squads. And then your Warriors team off to Vegas next season. So that's all become official. We'll have a chat about that as well. So we'll kick off our discussion. The All Blacks took on England last week, their first test of the year in Dunedin against the English, who are visiting here for a 2-match series. Tight game, really tight game. I think a little bit tighter than what most people expected. I'm not sure if people were expecting the All Blacks to roll the English team or what to expect from England, but I thought the English gave them a real good account of themselves. Give us your summation of the contest and the result.
I thought it was a great game. I thought it was a close game. Obviously, it was the first game of the Razor era, as people have been calling it. There's some selections people were questioning about. The forward pack if they were going to suffice to the English pack. But I think when I saw the stats on the first scrum, that pack they were a lot heavier. The forward pack of the All Blacks when it came into that first scrum, which obviously collapsed, led to the first English penalty that missed. But I thought that it was a great game. It was some good signs for this new Razor era type-esque team. Some of the selections that he made were, looked exciting. I thought Steven Perofeta, we talked about it before, but his inclusion at number 15 jersey, I'm really glad he got the nod to have a longer stretch of time to play, because the last time he only played like a couple minutes, bro. So it was good to see him set up a try in the outside. It was great to see Seville Reece get a meat pie as well. He's been a part of a losing team with the Crusaders throughout the year, but, he's had some good looks during that season. But for him to tee up a try on that right wing again, I thought that it was special. And, I thought that there were some good signs in the team. Obviously, there were some errors and some mistakes that can be that I think Razor would be, looking to go over in the weeks to come as these tests progress. But I thought overall it was a great game of rugby. The first test for the Razor era is looking great.
Yeah, I thought score-wise, really good contest. Probably could have won by 4 if McKenzie was able to get that kick away, and a lot of discussion around some of that, around the referee's adjudication on the shot clock. David McKenzie obviously in the wash-up has taken responsibility, as he should do.
Yep.
He did take a long time to take the penalty, and that could have put out to a 4-point gap, which gives them a little bit of breathing space to close out the game. But I thought there was a lot of build-up. There's been a lot of build-up about Razor. There's been a lot of shows about what he's going to bring.
Yeah.
And what he did at the Crusaders was going to be the way that the All Blacks were going to play. And I thought at the end of it all, I thought it was a little bit underwhelming for mine. I thought they were riddled with errors. I thought their line-out was off. But they did show some moments of brilliance.
Yeah.
I thought Stephen Perifeta, when he put on some footwork, found some space. I thought Adi Savir was outstanding.
Yeah.
And Severis, welcome back. I thought he was very, very good. Mark Talea just has a knack of beating 1 and 2 defenders every single
run,
time.
bro. Yeah.
Every single time. From a standing start, his footwork or fend or bump, he beats a defender every single time. So, yeah, some shiny lights. I thought Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax, I thought their scrummaging, once they got through and settled themselves into the game, I thought they were dominant against the English pack.
Yeah.
And go back to it, I thought some of their lineouts were missing. I thought some of the throwing and missing cues were poor. A lot to work on, a lot to fix up. And, yeah, I understand it's the first game. I understand. But they came in on the back of a lot of hype as well.
Yeah.
There was a lot of build-up about how they were going to be against an English team that, for a lot of reasons, were an unknown commodity and an unknown opposition. But I thought England gave a really good account of themselves. I thought Marcus Smith was fantastic at 10 for them.
Yeah.
So
exciting. And we spoke about it on the overtime show, how exciting that was, for him to, as a prospect, as a young prospect who can create something out of nothing. I thought that he did really well, just to show some good looks against the All Blacks defence. But yeah, speaking, going back to Mark Talia, speaking about him, I think I saw a statistic that he's got the highest amount of tackles broken for a back or for a player in World Rugby. So man, that guy, he runs for everyone, man. And he runs, sometimes when he runs through the middle, he even breaks tackles. And even when he's on the outside, players just fall off him. So I don't know what must be going on in those Samoan veins, man. But he's a strong player. And for a winger of his stature, he's not a big bloke, but he's solid, man.
That's the surprising thing about him. He's not big.
Yeah.
Like Caleb Clark, who's trimmed down a lot and looking a lot more athletic, is still bigger in comparison.
Yeah.
And he's strong. He bumps people off.
Yeah.
But Talea's got it all. He's got the defend, he's got the footwork, and as you say, in close quarters, you've seen him score tries straight through the middle of the ruck.
Yeah.
He's almost unstoppable at times when he gets going. But as I said, what stands out for me is he can do it from a standing start. You've seen him turn around, pick up a ball, boom, beats a defender, bumps the next defender, makes a break out of nothing. He's so dangerous. And yeah, I'm not surprised at those numbers that you're talking about, what he comes up with. And what I think is more important for him, especially over the last couple of years, he's been very, very consistent at it.
Yeah.
His dangers haven't changed. Every time he gets the ball and every time he's gotten the ball over the last couple of years, whether it's be for the All Blacks or for the Blues, he plays aggressively and plays the same way. And it's good to see.
Yeah,
it's good to see.
That's why he locked in that number 11 jersey, for the past year and a bit, or a couple of years actually. And, just moving the attention back to D-Mac and that try that he set up for Severis on the right edge. I thought that it was really Crusaders-esque and All Blacks-esque when Richie Mo'unga was at number 10, doing those cross kicks, and he'll find Severis in open space on the right side. Now, during the week, Richie Mo'unga, who was at the game on Saturday, he said that it was quite, bittersweet for him to watch the game and be a spectator outside of, playing with the All Blacks. Now, he's obviously left to Japan and played some footy over there, but what are your thoughts on him, whether or not, his exit has or has not impacted the All Blacks?
Oh, for sure. It has an impact. Such a pivotal and fantastic player. He's been one of the best 10s in world rugby for a long, long time.
Yeah.
He's up there with Johnny Sexton for that period when they played, their dominance. And he was what the All Blacks needed when we lost Dan Carter. We needed someone of his capabilities and abilities to step up and come to the fore, and he did for so long. In fact, he pushed who was the World Rugby Player of the Year at the time, Beauden Barrett, out of that 10 spot and made it his own. So it was always going to be a loss. It's always going to be tough to fill those shoes, and some pressure on whoever did it. Unfortunately, it was Damien McKenzie who did it. And You talk about his running game, fantastic. Unfortunately, his goal kicking was what let him down. And he's been very, very good at that throughout the season with the Chiefs. So you just wonder if it's the arena, i.e. the international side of it, the pressure of doing it for the country, or whether it's the arena as in the venue, being indoors. They've had a week to practice. The All Blacks could have won by a lot more than the 1 point that they did.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that's something that he'll have to work on this week, and definitely will be, because that's the responsibility of the All Blacks 10 going way back to Grant Fox. Having a great goal kicker to ice those moments and push those games out and put the scoreboard pressure back on the opposition. That's part of wearing that 10. And hopefully, because of what he's done this year, we've sung his praises, Damien McKenzie. Hopefully he can fix that up this weekend going forward.
Well, he's a quality player anyways, and I expect him to clean that up, man. But I just thought it was funny, seeing him do the smile, the whole look at the screen and look at himself on the screen for 10 seconds. But then, the refs telling him to hurry up. I saw them cut to Razor, and he was, spraying the coach's box. So yeah, hopefully he can, like we know he can, improve in that part of his game. Now he's probably got that number 10 jersey secure for the oncoming future, and maybe for the next couple of years too. So definitely be part of his game that he needs to work on.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that they'd find some consistency as far as having a 10 there for a little while. And if it's Damien McKenzie, it's Damien McKenzie. But the luxury that the All Blacks have, they've got Stephen Perifetta who can play there. They've got Beauden Barrett who came off the bench who can play there. So there's some options. There's some options for Razor to pick, and causes some headaches. And as a player, you've got to take that option out of the coach's hand and just keep playing well. Give him no reason to drop you.
Yeah.
Give him no reason to make any alterations or adjustments to the squad whilst you hold the jersey. It's your jersey for that game. Whether it's your jersey for the next game depends on your performance in this game.
Yeah.
And, the squads will be named a little bit later today.
Yeah.
So both teams, it's interesting that England have delayed naming their squad. They named it last week on the Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
But they're naming it today, the same day that the All Blacks do. So
A little bit
trying to
of
hold their cards closer to their chests this week. It'll be very interesting to see what teams both squads come out with.
Yeah. Do you expect any changes from the All Black squad? Any big changes that might, ruffle some feathers? You think? I don't expect them to replace D-Mac with either Beauden Barrett or Perifetta. I think every one of those players, did their best that they could in that position. But I think in those big key positions, especially those who are steering the puck, it'll be interesting to see if Razor does make any changes. That number 9 spot will obviously go, because CJ Perenara, unfortunately, suffered an injury which rules him out of the second English test. So maybe they put Christie at the starting number 9. I've seen comments, people asking to rope in Folau.
All right.
Yeah, Folau as well too, to come back in. But yeah, what are your thoughts on if or any changes needed to be made ahead of Saturday's Eden Park game?
Yeah, well, that'll be a forced change.
Yeah.
I think the midfield will stay the same.
Yep.
If there is a change, there could be maybe one at hooker. If it's Omur, give him a chance to start and see if we can fix up that line out. Or at 6, Fino went really, really well.
Yeah.
But they've got Jacobson, who was he was a surprise to me that he didn't start. I thought both Ardy and Dalton were very, very good.
Good, yeah.
I thought Tuipulotu was outstanding for the All Blacks. He was outstanding around the park, his carries. He was industrious, he was busy, dangerous. So I think that he holds his spot. And those guys do. If there is a change in the pack, then it might be at 6.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I thought so too. That he had a great game, but that back row, those flankers in that number 8, they did a really good job. Just at the, just that strength that the All Blacks pack needed. I think that they provided that definitely. But yeah, in terms of big changes or changes like that, I expect the All Blacks squad going into the second test to look a bit similar to this game. I think the wingers have secured their spots. Several Reese did a great job, and Mark Tele as well. I'm not sure if they change Rieko Ioane, because as you could, Rieko Ioane and Jordy Barrett in the midfield, because as you could see the English defence were rushing up and just shutting him down at every time. A good method to shut down an explosive, second five like Rieko Ioane to, sort of nullify the way that he breaks tackles and breaks that space open when he's in open space. But yeah, I thought that was quite interesting, just how much times you could see the All Blacks setting up their signature, double back door, just the back door, and they shot out. Do you think that was practiced throughout the week?
Oh, that's a ploy that the English would have planned for and practiced, for sure. And I think that's something that they'll repeat again because it worked, and they'll be fine-tuning some of that. The dangers with some of that is your repeat efforts.
Yeah.
So if the All Blacks are able to use that to their advantage, and but what I'm saying is if they're flying up from the edges, there's obviously some space in behind.
Yeah.
So you can try and kick them behind to turn them around, because it's hard for them if they're flying aggressively to turn around and recover.
Yeah.
It means the winger's got to stay back. There's some space for a long ball or that kick pass. Or you're happy to give it to Rieko or whoever. They get tackled and you recycle quick because they've come past the advantage line. They've got to try and get back.
Yep.
And you make that play on the next one.
Yeah.
So there's some opportunities there that the All Blacks can use to expose some of that aggressive line speed. I know they've encountered it before. South Africa have done it against the All Blacks.
Yeah, they've done it plenty of times. Ireland,
it's a great advantage.
Well. Yeah.
And so have Ireland. But they've always come up with an answer, especially the second time around. I've no doubt they'll come up with something this week to try and break that down.
Yeah.
England's challenge to that then is, do we do it every time? Is it something that we just stick with? Or do we throw a spanner in the work and give them a different look? It'll be interesting to see. That's the game of chess that I love about sport, and what coaches' mindsets are and the tactics that teams go through and alterations they make week after week.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how Razor, goes back throughout the week and obviously, fine-tune some of those efforts on attack. Whether, that'll be something that definitely they'll identify about the English defence that they'll shoot up. So I'm sure he's got something in the midst to sort of nullify, those efforts from the English defence.
Leadership, I thought Artie was outstanding.
Yeah, man.
I thought he led well, Scott Barrett,
Yeah.
but was quiet at times in the game for his standards. But I thought Artie really took the team upon his shoulders and led from the front as he strengthened his argument for that captaincy.
Captaincy, man. Yeah. I thought that
I don't expect him to change it.
Yeah, no.
They made the decision, but
Yeah.
he's just strengthening his position as a leader
Yeah.
on the team even more so, I reckon.
And we spoke about it, bro, that about the All Blacks captain lifts the shoulders of those on the field, and in the big moments or in these big games, or in these tight games, for example, you can hear and you can see from the captain or what the right things to lift the shoulders of those around him. And I thought that Ardie Savea, just his performance alone, as an All Blacks captain, should obviously inspire the troops, and I thought that he did it really well. But then again, Scott Barrett. He's been named as the captain. Obviously, Jordy Barrett's vice captain with Ardie Savea as well. And I thought that was quite special for him as a first game as an All Blacks captain. To run out with his two brothers by his side. I thought that was really special. So yeah, I'm sure that he'll be going back throughout this week and just figuring out different things about what an All Black captain should be and do on the field that makes other people's shoulders lift higher.
For sure. And he's got the armband. He leads our team, and we'll give him all our support that we can.
Yeah.
Second test this weekend.
Yeah.
Eden Park.
Exciting, man.
Looks like it's going to be a sellout. 45,000 rocking the stadium.
Yep.
7:05 kickoff at Eden Park. Should everyone be more excited because of that result in the first test, that this is going to be another strong contest, another exciting test match? Or do the All Blacks fix up what the areas that we're talking about, they need to, and come out and get a good win.
I think they do, bro. I think the All Blacks, historically have been a team that if they have these test series and that second test or third test that they play against these teams, they do a lot better. They obviously go back and they have such a skilled team. The forwards, backs coach, the breakdowns, and they'll be doing a lot of review, and they've done a lot of review for this English test, that they'll come back and find different ways, to do better and to be better. And I think that we'll see that on Saturday. It's a sold-out crowd out in Eden Park, and it's going to be really exciting to see how they come out. But I expect them to beat England, by 2 tries or more. I think that they're going to do really well at the weekend. But in saying that, the English defence are no slouch, and they are definitely a quality side that can, shut down whatever the All Blacks throw against them. There's something that I saw throughout the news, bro, that this week about Eden Park, about the prospect of playing at Eden Park when you're the All Blacks international test. Someone said, a rugby commentator or something, he goes, Eden Park doesn't really have an aura and ambiance about it. Whether if you go over to South Africa and play at Ellis Park, if you go over to England, play at Wimbledon or Twickenham, sorry, Wimbledon, Twickenham Stadium. But there's no, the fans are not really, hounding you and not really as aggressive and as expressive as fans from South Africa, from English teams, from Ireland as well. When you go up north and play at the O2, what are your thoughts on that, bro? About Eden Park being something that's being a place that doesn't have that aura about them.
Well, there's a couple of things. It's not the Kiwi way. To be aggressive to the opposition as such. And there's no chanting culture or booing culture, which is a real positive that we don't have in this country. We're respectful to oppositions when we play. But what I will say, as far as the All Blacks are concerned at Eden Park, I think their record speaks for itself. I think their record, one against England, who haven't won here for 29 years or so. The All Blacks haven't lost for an eternity at Eden Park. So the fact that it's a fortress for the All Blacks speaks how daunting it is to oppositions to come there and try and get a win. That in itself is a concern for oppositions. Now, the longer that goes on, the harder it is for the All Blacks to protect that, because it's got to go at some stage. It's got to go. Someone's got to win at Eden Park. It can't go on forever. Or maybe it can. But do the All Blacks at Eden Park need a crowd that's vicious, vocal, screaming at the opposition every time they drop the ball? Doesn't seem to be. No. Doesn't seem to be at the moment. The All Blacks don't need that because they just keep winning at Eden Park. So as long as they're winning and the crowd's doing what they're doing, carry on.
I think the same, man. I think the same. I thought that comment said, I thought those comments were crazy. But obviously it's not our Kiwi way. It's not our, down here in the South Pacific. Not really like that. We're not really, expressive and outspoken, especially when it comes to the sporting front. And as All Blacks fans, All Blacks is such a pattern covenant. It's something that we hold in New Zealand society as such a high regard. So when we go to games, we want to support our team. We want to support the other team as well. If we hate them, really, we don't really hate any other teams, other than England maybe. But other than the Lions, the British and Irish Lions, nah.
Yeah, and I get what some of they're saying. South Africa can be daunting. They love it. The crowd gets expressive. You watched them play Ireland last week. It's a real party atmosphere. And it gets loud. And that's awesome. That's their way. Twickenham, swing low, swing chariot. They sing that, the chants around. It's the culture in England. The fans sing, the players have a song, the teams have songs. That's how they show their support, and they get behind and they use it to their advantage, especially when teams are losing and the scoreboard's ticking away and they really get stuck in to push their team away and show their support. But it's not the Kiwi way. It's not the Kiwi way. We do a lot of our talking on the field, and hopefully that's the case for the All Blacks this week coming up. But back to the game a little bit, we're talking about the 60-second shot clock. which is going to come into play now. New
it's the
Zealand
first
Rugby
game,
have said that it's going to come into play. It's one of those rules that are not really enforced or used in Super Rugby. And last week, Razor came out and said they've got to get used to playing a different way to Super Rugby because of some of the refereeing and some of the adjudicating. Last week, they had a Georgian referee, Nika Amashukeli. He refereed a really different way. It was a different game to what we've seen throughout the course of this season so far as Super Rugby is concerned. They have Nick Berry, an Aussie referee, who has refereed Super Rugby. Do we expect him to referee Super Rugby style and the All Blacks to be used to what he's or how he's going to referee the game?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, being reffed on the international stage by a familiar referee that's refereed some of the games at club level, I think that'll give the boys a bit more familiarity of what to expect when they go into the games or they do different things, whether it's in the ruck, whether it's during when they're on defense or on attack too when they go down, because different referees from around the world, especially for rugby, where they play different styles of rugby, obviously in the Northern Hemisphere compared to down here and Super Rugby, over in South Africa as well, they might have different style of refereeing. So I think that this referee, the Australian referee, will provide a bit more familiarity for the All Blacks when they go into this test. Yeah, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more conducive to an open game.
Yeah.
To a more, we saw a lot of whistle blowing last. There's a lot of stoppages in play. Now, there are some international rules that the referees got to adhere to. But I think this was, again, I'll go back to some of the build-up that the All Blacks had. They're going to play some free-flowing stuff. They're going to play very Crusaders-like to what they were under Razor. And some of that was taken away because of the stop-start nature of the game. Hopefully there's some flow to it. There's some continuity.
Yep.
And they're able to really show their abilities and their wares by throwing the ball around and playing some open rugby this week because of some of the referee and how it's played, how it's refereed and how it's been adjudged. I think if the All Blacks can get on a front foot and play some flowing, continual rugby and really put some pressure on the opposition defence, I reckon we can see some scores getting racked up.
Yeah. And that's again comes to that thing alone about it being an Australian referee. I think that supports my prediction about the All Blacks might have a better run in this game too and look a bit more comfortable behind the ball, where they, like you said, there'll be a lot more free flowing, a lot more less stoppages, which as a rugby league fan or as a rugby league person, and I'm looking into rugby union, start stops are like, man, it's not consumable, it's not attractive as a spectator, sort of figuring out what's the penalty for, what's the stoppage for, where when we see free-flowing rugby and just, letting the ball just carry on, regardless of what happens, I think that's when the best brand of rugby is played. Like, for example, when the women's rugby played with that World Cup final with the All Blacks, the Black Ferns versus England, there was hardly any stoppages, bro. It was just straight rugby. So that's what, that's what in these cases I would love to see.
Yeah, and I sort of take it back to some of the rugby league games. We have playoffs, grand finals.
Yep.
They're refereed differently. They're refereed openly. Origin, it's refereed openly. That's what the fans want.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
That's what the fans expect to see, and hopefully we see some of that with Nick Berry refereeing the game this week. But then again, when has an Aussie ever helped a Kiwi? We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see how it goes this week, and it'll be interesting today to see some of the, if any, changes that both coaches make to their squad. England lost Joe Marler early in the game, which is unusual. It was his 93rd test for England in the front row. Unfortunate, big loss for him. But we'll see if he recovers in time to take his place this week. But second test of a 2-test series. New Zealand are 1-0 up. Can't lose the series. But I think England will come out swinging. I think it's their last game for the season. The English will come out swinging. It'll be a fantastic game this weekend. Next Wednesday, we move back to some rugby league.
Yes, sir.
The 2 Origin teams were named. We'll run through them. New South Wales, Dylan Edwards holds a spot. Brian Tor, Stephen Crichton, Bradman Bess comes in, although we'll chat about him in a second. Zach Lomax holds a spot on the wing. Jerome Luai-Moses, Jake Trbojevic, Captain Roy, Reece Robson, Payne Haas, Liam Martin, Angus Crichton, Cam Murray, Connor Watson, Isaiah Yeo. The only change they've made to the winning game 2 is Mitch Barnett comes in for Homole Olukoyatu on the bench, and Spencer Leniu holds his spot on the bench in an otherwise unchanged team other than that one with Mitch Barnett coming in. Queensland, they have Reece Walsh, Selwyn Cobbo, Dane Gagai, Hamiso Tabuai Fido, Valentine Holmes. He shifts to the wing. Tom Dearden is with Cherry Evans in the halves, Ruben Cotter, Ben Hunt, Lindsay Collins. Kirk Capewell gets a start for Jaden Sewer.
Wow.
And a big change, Jeremiah Nanai, Pat Carrigan, Harry Grant is on the bench with Futueka, Felice Kofusi, Kalen Ponga comes in on the bench. Big talking points, especially for Queensland. Size of their bench, is that a concern?
Yeah, I think it's a big concern, bro. I think that the forward pack of the Blues in that game too really gave them the right things to go down the pitch, bro. They were strong. Payne Haas was strong. He looked strong. And our forward pack for the Maroons just weren't able to hang on, man. They were giving up 50, 60 metres in the opening sets, but also, you know, Payne Haas was carrying 3 or 4 defenders with him after every run. So having two backs on the bench, I thought that it was questionable, bro. Just to bring Kalen Ponga in, you know, I know that he's missed most of the season. He's played, 1-2 games this year, but for Billy Slater to call him in, and especially on the bench, giving up, a spot that another big forward or a bustling forward from the Queensland Maroon side could fill in, I thought that was quite questionable, especially given the forwards rotation. Origin is one of those arenas where you have to, keep rolling yourselves, keep rolling the energy in and out. And we saw how crucial that was for the Blues in Game 2 when they injected Spencer Leniu from the bench to come on and provide that impact, provide that go forward and that intimidation in the middle. And I think that taking away a spot, despite it being Kalen Ponga, but taking away a spot that a forward could obviously go into, it was a big call from the Maroons.
A couple of forced changes for Billy Slater through injury. Xavier Coates got injured for Melbourne. Murray Taulagi got injured for the Cowboys on Sunday. Hence why Dan Gagai finds himself back in the squad. Named at centre, Selwyn Cobbo is back on the wing after his omission from Game 2, which, as I said, pushes Valentine Holmes to the wing. What do you think's important about those two coming back, about Cobbo and Gagai coming back into the squad?
I think Gagai steps his game up every time he comes into the Origin arena. And, people are saying that he's past his prime, he's past his used by date, but every time he pulls on that Maroons jersey, you just see him step up another level. Now he's going to come up, against a strong centres pairing with Mitchell and Bradman Bess on the other side, and Stephen Crichton's there too. Sorry. It's going to be interesting to see what not Latrell Mitchell, sorry. Stephen Crichton and Bradman Bess, sorry. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how his defensive efforts will come into play when he comes up against those bustling centre pairing in the Blues. But yeah, I think the inclusion of Gagai was important, and it'll inject some confidence into those backs, especially with Cobbo coming back in. He's earned his way back into the Maroon squad. He was obviously left out of the Game 2 squad. People were saying, where's he? Had an outstanding game in Game 1. So this will be another opportunity for Cobbo to come in and, produce some magic out there on the wing.
Yeah, I think they're big bodies. I think what Queensland struggled with was trying to get on the front foot, carrying out of their own end in Game 2. New South Wales were aggressive. They had a mindset to just kick and punish them, and Mitchell Moses' kicking game was outstanding. But Queensland need to find a way to fight their way out of their back end.
Yeah.
And Cobbo and Gagai, as you said, Gagai's never, ever, ever let Queensland down, which is why I've been surprised that he's missed for the last year and a half. I'm so happy that he's back in because I, like a lot of other Queensland fans, trust what he brings. What he brings to Queensland is aggression, power, energy, which is what we need out of that backfield. And hopefully he gets some carries He's able to get Queensland on the front foot, and we can fight our way up because, the bench is a bit questionable as far as the size, and they allow Reece Walsh to come into the game. We can't have him kick returning the ball. He's just too small and gets nominated.
Yeah.
Did you think Jaden Saw needed to be dropped? Was he deserving?
Yeah, I was surprised about him being dropped from the squad. He didn't have an outstanding game 1 and 2, but he did his role, he did his job, for the Maroons. But yeah, I'm wondering about Kurt Capewell. Kurt Capewell comes in. He was started at the bench in game 2. He obviously missed game 1. He was injured. Game 2, he started at the bench, and then obviously he had to come on. And then game 3, he gets the starting position. He takes it off Sua. Now I think his maybe his maturity, but also his experience must have been why Billy Slater wanted to give him the nod. Obviously, compared to 5 years ago when he was I'd say he's at his best when he was during his time
At the Panthers.
With the Panthers. Then he went over to the Cowboys, but this Panthers was probably his best form, that we've seen him. And since the Warriors, he's come at the Warriors. He's had some injury, had some niggle, but for Billy Slater to bring him in straight into the starting squad, I thought it was interesting. But he must have a lot of trust for Capewell in those big games. It's a decider too, bro. So he brings in one of these veteran players to come in, and he's not a game-breaking type second row, but he can do his job and he can defend well, and he's got some attacking prowess too.
If there was a spot, and nobody knew that Jaden Sewell was going to be dropped until the morning of, there was some rumours circling around. There was a name that was mentioned to slot in that back row position, who's missed out on a spot and missed out on the series now. What are your thoughts on the omission of David Fifita?
Unreal, man. I was thinking that he would get the nod for maybe one game, bro. At least one game, just bring him in. This was the perfect time to bring him in, I guess. In this decider game, where it's a big opportunity for him as a young player to gain some confidence, but also to deliver for his state. Now he's had some good performances when he's put on the Maroons jersey, and he's had an outstanding season, for the Titans too. And I thought Billy Slater leaving him out again for the third time, I thought that it's questionable, man. It was something that I myself as a fan, just looking in, I was trying to figure out why he didn't want to bring him in. Maybe it's because his longevity in the game, his performance falls off sort of towards the back end of the game, or the longer minutes that he plays. He sort of becomes a bit more lazy when he comes back on the defensive efforts that Billy Slater might not want, from him in the Maroons side. But yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I understand a little bit of what Billy Slater's looking at.
Yeah.
We're talking about his involvements in games, and he does have an ability in games to go missing and let the games pass him by. So game 1, I got you. Game 1, all right, go fix up your game, get more involved.
Yep.
We'll have a look at you. He destroyed the Warriors. At that time, he destroyed the Warriors. He was involved in everything from start to finish, and he's been great ever since. So I think, has he been perfect? No, and I don't think he ever will be. But he's improved a lot, and it's been interesting to hear some of the arguments that his numbers that he's posted this year are better than his numbers were last season when he was getting selected, and better than some of the back rowers that have been selected, some of their numbers. He has an X factor. He has a danger that I think could break New South Wales open. I think we miss a trick with him. Yeah, he won't make 45 tackles a game. That's not him. But he could skittle 45 players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could bust them open. He could score a try or two or create a try or two. Such is his danger. And he might only be involved for 15 minutes off the bench.
Yeah.
But he could wreak havoc for that 15 minutes. But, I think he could have been a big one for us.
Yeah.
They've instead gone with Kalen Ponga. What I'm interested is where they see Kalen Ponga coming on.
Yeah.
Is he an insurance policy for Reece Walsh? Or if Reece Walsh stays on there, he won't go to fullback. But does he go to 13 again like he did when he played his first Origin?
What do you think? Yeah, I think because that 13 obviously has become more of a ball-playing 13 where he can come on and just provide another ball handler to distribute off the back of obviously the spine. But yeah, it's interesting to see where he'll come in. Obviously, Harry Grant's there to replace Ben Hunt when he obviously, and in game 2, Harry Grant played some big minutes, for Ben Hunt. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see why he went with Kalen Ponga to come in. Kalen Ponga can fill in at 1 to 5, I'd say 1 to 7, and he can play 9 and 13. So he can play. He covers a lot of ground when it comes to different positions. But if you look at the forward pack from the New South Wales side, they've got Angus Crichton and Liam Martin at the back rows. They're dangerous, bro. They're strong, and they produce some strong looks in that game too, and they can produce, some big efforts when it comes to the middle, but also linking up into that back row. Now, the omission of David Fifita means that Kurt Capewell and Jeremiah Nana are going to be doing a lot more to shut those players down. That we need that extra spot on the bench to come in and give those guys some rest.
Lastly, for Queensland, a lot of question marks over the fitness of Harry Grant.
Yeah,
and missed the last 2 games for Melbourne. You understand getting rested for 1 after the last Origin, but Craig Bellamy rested him for 2 games. Questions over his injury, whether he's going to be fit enough to make it. If not, they've got Reid Marnie on the bench. How much do you read into Harry Grant being injured and not being there next Wednesday? And if he's not, how confident are you in Reid Marnie?
Yeah, I'm real confident.
The pest.
Man. Yeah, he is a pest, bro, for the Bulldog, man. And we talked about it on the Overtime show on Saturdays, but how much of a pest he is, especially when he played against the Warriors too, and in the game before. I thought that, if he gets the call up, that's exactly what the Maroons need. A little bit of niggle, a little bit of pestiness when it comes to around that middle area for that Reid Marnie can definitely provide. So if you remove Harry Grant and you put Reid Marnie in, I'll be comfortable with that. Take Kalen Ponga out too and put in David Fifita. But yeah, I think that if Reid Marnie was to get the call up for Harry Grant, who obviously has missed those games, I think that'll be a great addition to the squad. But yeah, interesting to see if Harry Grant is fit enough to play. Obviously, he's sat out those 2 games. But yeah, and like I said, in game 2, he played some big minutes for Ben Hunt. But yeah, we'll see how that rotation goes and what Billy Slater decides to do.
Yeah, for mine, it'd be a little bit of a show of inconsistency in his coaching from Billy Slater. If Harry Grant is in fact injured, and they're trying to nurse him through, because in game 2, after an outstanding game 1, he dropped Selwyn Cobbo for the reasons that he gave, that he had some injuries that he had to sort out. He had some things that he had to work on.
Yeah.
And he didn't want him in camp because he wasn't 100%. Broncos had the bye. Have a rest, get yourself ready. I respect that he's brought him back in. But if you've got someone again, you've brought in someone else who is injured, and you're going against your policy of wanting players who are 100%.
But yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that could have been David Fifita's spot, possibly.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to fight David Fifita's cause. Now, if he's fit, Harry Grant, happy days. Trust him. Love him coming off the bench for Ben Hunt. If he doesn't make it, then again, I can't wait to see Reid Marnie get out there. I think he's one of those made for Origin.
Yeah, man.
Queensland used to have a hooker called Jamie Goddard from the Gold Coast, and he was an absolute pest. He was a firebrand. He just went after New South Wales. In fact, he had a big fight. There's a video of him with Joey Johns.
Man.
Such was his passion, and I think Reid Marnie could bring some of that for Queensland. So, be interesting. We'll wait and see what happens Wednesday night. For the Blues, a bit of news for them. Bradman Best has had an injury cloud this week. He's come into camp not 100%. Obviously, he's come in for Latrell. What do you think they do if he doesn't make it? They've got Matt Burton at 18th man.
Yeah, I think you inject Matt Burton in there because I saw some videos. He was training by himself, bro. He was doing some of the drills by himself, and from outside looking in, when it's not a good look when one player is isolated from the rest of the team. So obviously the coaches will be working with him and trying to see if whatever his injury is if he's all right to play and is he fully fit to train with a wider squad. So that'll be quite interesting. He's had a great season, and he's one of those powerful centers that when he has played Origin, he's been great, man. He's been great coming up against that Queensland side. But I think it'll be quite interesting whether or not he'll be fully fit come next Wednesday. Now, talking about those videos that came out, I saw a video of the Blues training, and Stephen Crichton, he was limping out of the training sheds, coming onto the thing. So there might have been a bit of niggle there after the Warriors game at the weekend. So might be a bit of trouble in paradise at the moment, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do now. They've got a whole backlog of players that can fill in those.
They've got a deep squad. They've got some talent throughout their 20-man squad, so yeah, they'll more than cover that. Haumole Olokuatu, drop from Mitch Barnett.
Crazy.
Thoughts on that?
Mitch Barnett gets the nod from the Warriors. I'm just glad that he gets to come into that squad. He was hovering around the 18th man for the past two, game 1 and game 2. Haumole Olokuatu, I think when he comes into that New South Wales squad, they don't know what to do with him. He stays out on that edge side, but they don't give him good enough ball, to produce some really good performances. That's what I feel as a spectator watching, Haumole go out there. He's a big body, and he carries 2 or 3 defenders with him too. And we saw that every time he had the ball against the Maroons defense. But yeah, I think Mitch Barnett will definitely come in and put in some more punch coming off the bench. Same thing as you saw Spencer Lanier, but he's obviously a workhorse as well, and he has a high tackling count. With Liam Martin, who's a defensive beast, Angus Crichton as well there around that side. Payne Haas, he tackles, but maybe not as much as a forward is expected to. So I think Mitch Barnett will be a great addition to the squad. Whether he comes in at prop or comes in the back row, I think that it'll be great to see him out there.
Yeah, I think it's a show of intent from Michael Maguire to how he wants the game to go.
Yeah.
He's been stoking the fire again, talking about glass houses and almost insinuating that Queensland are being hypocritical to have a talk, to have any chat about New South Wales niggle.
Yep.
That Queensland have their own niggle, and what they're going to do is fight fire with fire. That's what they did at game 2.
Yeah.
They were so dominant physically through the middle, and I think that's why they've got Mitch Barnett to go out there and do exactly the same thing. He himself is a firebrand. He's almost like Spencer Lanier.
Yep.
You can see that Michael Maguire throughout the 10 days in camp, he just riles them, he just coils them up, spring loads of them to go out and just unleash, which is what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Big battle on the hands of Queensland. But they've got to go into enemy territory.
Man.
They've got to go into Suncorp or Lang Park, as I still call it, and try and get a win on our home turf and try and get past the Wally Lewis statue to try and get a win.
Well, funny story about that. I went, like I said, I was in Australia, and I made a visit with my brothers and my early in the week, just to give it a little bit of a blessing, little bit of Pacific Grandstand overtime with Matty and Willie. A bit of a blessing ahead of Game 3. It's going to be an exciting game. I think the Blues have never won a decider at Suncorp Stadium, so that's another one of those big records.
They may have won one.
Okay, one. Oh, yeah.
They may have won one, yeah.
Well, it's going to be a big task ahead of them to go into the home of State of Origin at Lang Park, at Suncorp Stadium, as you call it. But yeah, it's going to be a huge effort. The last time where there was a decider there, Ben Hunt shot down the field after an intercept from Nathan Cleary, that little chip kick, and you can hear Cameron Smith, "Go Dozer!" at the in the commentary box. So it's going to be exciting to see what the Queensland fans produce when New South Wales come up.
Just on that, what's the feeling in Brisbane? What's the feeling around Queensland?
Oh, it's massive, man. They're
confident?
Yeah, really confident. I think it's really confident. I was speaking to my siblings, but also looking at the comments and what's the chat around some of these spectators and around some of these commentators from Queensland. They're confident every time they come up again, in Suncorp to play any game at Suncorp. But I think it's gonna. There was some questions around, the bench and Kalen Powell coming off the bench, but nonetheless, when it comes to State of Origin time, they're always back the Maroons.
If you've been watching our show for the last couple of weeks, and especially during the Origin period, you would have noticed we've been hitting the streets to go get some of the opinions of the people. We've done that again for Game 3. Game 3, the decider for all the marbles. That's played next week.
We're here in the heart of West Auckland, Avondale, to ask the people who their pick is for next week's State of Origin Game 3 decider.
Let's go see what they've got to say.
Go Blues! Go Blues!
There we go.
Queensland, New South Wales.
New South, definitely. Queensland all day, every day.
Who you got, bro?
New South.
New South. New South.
It's all tied up, 1-1. Who wins it?
The Blues, man, the Blues.
New South.
New South or Queensland?
New South.
Oh, New South. All three New South. I thought Avondale would be Queensland, but looks like they're New South.
I'm still going for New South.
Who wins the series?
Queensland.
Ain't Harsh your cousin?
Nah, but he's my brother-in-law.
Well, there's a lot of people brainwashed. I think we're all Queenslanders.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Need to bring some people. Awesome. Thank you, mate.
Awesome. Cheers,
Thank you very much. Sticking with NRL, announced this week that the Warriors are going to Vegas. Warriors are off to Vegas. It was
Exciting,
such a
man.
huge success this year.
Yeah.
4 teams went. There's going to be a different 4 teams go this year, next season to open it up. The Raiders will play the Warriors.
Nice.
The Panthers will play the Sharks. But included in this, not just the 2 NRL games, the Warrington Wolves and the Wigan Warriors from the English Super League will be joining them in a real festival of rugby league, as well as the Gillaroos, Australian Women's Rugby League team. They'll play the England Lionesses in a game there. So 4 huge games to open up the season for the NRL this year, after that success they had this year. How important, how big is it for the Warriors? And
huge.
how big will it be for the Warriors fans?
Huge. Just a big shout out to the Warriors that you're going to the Las Vegas game. Can you invite me too? And I'll come along with the suitcases as well.
You take your cup?
Yeah, take my cup as well, and we can go and have I'll do some work there, some good work over there in Vegas. But no, I thought it was quite.
Louis, are you hearing us?
It was quite, a really great achievement for the Warriors just to go over there and get the nod to go over there. Obviously, Las Vegas, it was a spectacle. We spoke about it earlier this year, how much of a spectacle it was, getting the American audiences amongst, getting these Australians and New Zealand fans going over there. It was a big opportunity for some of the young players, a part of those squads, but also for the clubs in general, just to go around and speak to some of the NFL fans over there. Obviously, they played at the home of the Raiders. Over in Las Vegas. So it's a huge event, and it's a huge statement for the growth of the game for the NRL, and it's going to be even better that they gave a New Zealand team the nod. A lot of our New Zealand fans, I expect them, the Warriors faithful, will be headed over to Las Vegas, maybe booking their tickets and accommodation now to head over early next year. So I thought that it's an amazing opportunity to share our culture and share the WAS movement over in Las Vegas and the Americas. So yeah, it's a great as well, complements the rise that the Warriors have had over the past couple of years with this Up the WAS movement, but also with the Warriors' success over the past couple of years. So it's going to be another great opportunity to share this great game that we love.
Yeah, I mentioned this on another show before. Something of interest for me is there's a big Pacific Island population in America. Obviously, a lot down that west coast.
Yes.
We talk about Vegas and Nevada and California, Washington, Seattle, and all the way up to the north and into Canada. But across America, there's a load of Pacific Islanders there.
Yeah.
We look at these teams, the Raiders, the Warriors, Penrith, Sharks even, a lot of Pacific Island players.
Yeah.
I think that's an attraction too, to try and draw the Pacific Island crowd to come. And you know how it is. Not only is there a Pacific Island community, a lot of these players, a lot of these teams, we have family everywhere.
Yeah, man.
So there'll be a lot of family they're trying to draw in. It's interesting. It's great for Super League that Warrington and Wigan get to be involved in it.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a true indication from Peter V'landys, especially to have the women's game as well there, to grow the whole game. To grow the game as a whole, it's important. And I've been critical that the NRL has been very protective of itself and growing itself, but this has dissolved any of my questions. Them inviting Super League to come on
Awesome.
is is a big opportunity for Super League to grow itself and market itself
Yep.
to the NRL fans, but to America and to the English fans. England Rugby League is just played in the north. It's not a national sport, but it is a sport that is watched nationally.
Yeah.
We've got to grow it even more and spread the word of the game. So well done to Peter V'landys and the NRL for having all 4 games and having the diversity of the games. It's a really exciting one for the Warriors. As you said, what it does by announcing it now, it gives fans a lot of time to save and try and get a ticket and get on board from all 4 teams, or all 8 teams, that are going. So hopefully it's another rocking stadium. The Raiders Stadium in Vegas is an amazing one. It was, as I said, a sellout. It was awesome last year. We saw videos about the week and the build-up and the events that the NRL put on. And that's what it is. It's a big event, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger, especially with the number of teams growing.
Yeah, with the inclusion of the back-to-back premiers as well. The Penrith Panthers, obviously a lot of our Pacifica boys are part of there. So yeah, it's going to be a huge opportunity for the game to grow, like you said. I think it's a model, it's a model of the type of growth needed to diversify the game, to include everyone in the game, and to spread it over to America. I remember when they first announced that they were going over to Las Vegas, how big of an effort that was, just to grow the game that's tucked away over here in the southern hemisphere, but to take it over to America, where it's not rugby, as American fans call it rugby, it's a rugby league. It's a game that we love, and a game a lot of our Pacifica players involved himself with, and looking forward to that round 0 come next year.
Yep. So we're talking about the fans having an opportunity to save up and go. Hopefully our bosses have enough time to save up so we can bring overtime with Matty from Vegas
to Vegas
next year for that round 0.
Yeah.
Well, that's us for another week here at Overtime with Matty. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Please join us for our Pacific Grandstand show on a Saturday morning here at 5:31 PI. Where can the people see us and view our podcast, Matty?
Well, you can find Overtime on Spotify. You just look up Overtime on Spotify, and our YouTube, 531 PI's YouTube page. Big shout out to everyone that supported our clips from our podcast that's gone up on our 531 PI Instagram. Keep showing your support, and we'll keep producing some quality content for you guys. So yeah, you can find us on there. Thanks again for listening in, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Go Queensland.